know what? It's like when we were kids growing up, you know what I'm saying? It was so normal, and we didn't know that anything was different till we became adults.
Yeah. At what point? Well, I don't know. I kind of remember going over to other people's houses, and I was like, I think I want to live like this as opposed to the other. And I remember going over to certain people's houses.
But you didn't feel like, I'll give you an example. When Alexa was born, I used my mom's car to bring Alexa home from the hospital. And as I'm bringing her home from the hospital, it was my wife at the time, my ex now, but I'm bringing her she's from Avon, so she was,
Yeah, you know how they are.
Well,
those people. I'm from Avon.
I know.
Yeah,
her grandfather had like his own helicopter with a landing pad on the boat.
Man,
built most of her million.
Nice.
She came from a different family for sure.
Okay.
So, and he actually just passed away. That same guy. He just wrecked on the turnpike. Actually, they drove right into the back of a semi truck by Columbus like a month ago. But anyways, we pick up, Alexa. We're taking her home. I'm borrowing my mother's car to have a nice car to take. He had a car, but it wasn't like as nice as my mother's car, obviously, We were young, 19, 20. So we get in the car, and there's a roach in the ashtray. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Not a cockroach, a weed roach, right?
Are you saying that for your audience? You say that for me? I forgot.
I'm saying it for everybody. I'm just making sure we make this clear, because we did say we're from the ghetto.
Look, homie, I know. Listen, I'm there, man. I know I've been out of it for a while, but look, I know what that is.
So... oh man, she looked at me like what a piece of shit. Like, I can't believe your mother would give us a car with a roach in the ashtray. What if we go to jail? And I'm just like, what's the matter with her? She thinks why is she so extreme? This is silliness. You know what I mean? Like, but as an adult today,
okay,
I kind of would be on her side with this one.
You're like, you know what?
But at the time, I'm like, what's the big deal? It's a roach in the ashtray. Who
kind of normalized, my life at the time.
Yeah. And I think that's a solid example of where,
it's different.
Yeah.
You're saying it's different. Yeah.
I'm saying that you don't realize there's anything wrong with it. When you're in the moment. You just don't get it. It's just how life is.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't like it though.
I wasn't a fan of it.
Yeah,
I wasn't a fan of it.
I've been that, and I've been, have a little bit of money and a little bit of, comfort. Definitely better on the other. I don't know. I say that and I just check myself. I don't know.
I'm gonna say.
I don't know.
When I was a kid, when we lived on the east side of Lorraine, we moved over there when I was in like maybe second grade, before you met me. Mm-hmm. My mom lived over there. We didn't have a lot of money. In fact, my grandmother would trade money with my mom for food stamps.
Yeah.
So that we could have enough to actually pay the bills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we didn't have Section 8 at that time or whatever. Eventually we got into Pro Village and then the projects and all that. But at that time we were just living in a house, or not a house, but a apartment building, and paying whatever the rent was. I have no idea. It was a lot, I'm sure. But I had some of the best times down there. I mean, we would walk to the beach every day, me and my mom, all summer long. We'd go swimming. We'd just walk literally from the east side of Lorraine across the bridge and down to Lakeview Park. Or we'd go sit at that one next to the pier over there before you had the park and all that over there on the side, where you couldn't drive out there like you can today.
Yeah.
We'd go to that little beach on the side, or
I know
Lakeview Park. Our Century Park. I mean, dude, me and my mom, I loved it. I had the greatest, I had no bad memories at that point in my life that I can think of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, except for Herman, when her and him got in a fight or whatever a couple times, which even that didn't happen a lot. But I mean, she eventually got rid of him. But
yeah, I think. For a lot of my childhood, I felt sad for a lot of it. I don't know why. Maybe I knew something I don't know. I just felt sad.
Really?
Yeah. I felt really sad. I didn't enjoy my adolescent years, like elementary, like those are real. I look back on those, and I just was really like insecure and sad a lot.
You were different from the time I met you till till 7th grade. I do remember that. You were a little, I don't know if I would say sad, but I do remember you were you didn't have the confidence that you did by 7th grade.
No,
by 7th grade, you were getting much more confident.
Yeah, I mean, I think lifting weights might have did some of that. You could, but it was all a defense mechanism to kind of like, I just felt like I felt like I was surviving. I literally felt like I was surviving, and I don't know how real that was. I mean, to some degree, it had to have been real, but I remember not. It was the confidence that I projected wasn't real. It was. I
think that's the case with most people.
Yeah. I mean, everything's a projection. I mean, your authentic self takes a while to develop. And
then I think there's some that are confident just naturally, and they probably shouldn't be. but it does exist. There are ones with the confidence that they should not have.
Yeah, authenticity is something that's very attractive. And if I could go back and somehow give myself authenticity, like I teach this a lot. Like authenticity is the distance from the outside to the inside, or conversely, from the inside to the outside. It's being in agreement with who you project to be, with who you really are on the inside, and being comfortable. So most of us aren't comfortable being on the outside, who we are on the inside. Most of us, I don't know.
I don't either.
I think most of us project what we think people want us to be. So we play the role that's in front of us. Most of us do. And the earlier, if I could go back and teach, and I try to teach people this, the earlier you can become authentic, like that, like whoever you are on the inside. I mean, you definitely have to be a principled person in order to like be an authentic person, because you can be authentically a jerk. You know what I mean? You don't want to be an authentic jerk. You want to be an authentically good human being. But in order to do that, you have to wrestle with the issues that are on the inside of you, and then be comfortable being that person on the outside of you. Most people project. Most people give people what they think they want. And whenever you do that, you live at conflict with yourself, and you're never genuine, and people can discern it. They can feel it. They know it. So I try to tell people, so like a Rolex, I had a good friend give me a Rolex for my 50th birthday.
It's a heck of a good friend.
but here's the deal. He told me, he was like, look, it's not an authentic. It's a replica. And I said, well, what's the difference? He was like, I don't really know, but it's worth something. It's just not worth what an authentic Rolex is worth. And so I know this guy, and I want you to meet him. His story is amazing. He was like a diamond thief back in the day. Like,
jeez.
Yeah, went to prison, came out. Like, it's a crazy story. We got to get him in here. But his story is absolutely amazing. But so I know him. So I'm like, nah. He just went to Dubai, and he comes back. It's my 50th, and he brings me this watch, and he's like, it's not real though, Troy. It's a replica. And I'm like, I don't know. I know you. It might be inauthentic. So I did some research. So I got online and I started doing the research, and I'm like, let me see if this thing is real. And so I took the watch and I looked at it, and I did all the search, and what I discovered was like the replicas they look exactly just like an authentic on the outside. But what makes them authentic, an authentic Rolex, is that it's not just what it projects on the outside. What makes it an authentic is what is on the inside of the watch. It's that every piece, every rubber, every little piece of it on the inside comes from the manufacturer. And so it's the inside matches the outside. And that's what makes it authentic. And until people are who they are on the inside, and they're comfortable being that, they'll always be at conflict. The inside doesn't match the outside.
We might not want people to be on the outside what the inside is like.
Well, that's why we have to. That's why, like, we must work on our inside before we work on our outside. But most of us work on our outside first, right? We dress up the outside. We try to make it look like we're a good family. We got a good marriage. We got our kids are all, but you're at conflict with yourself. You're a hypocrite, and you know it. You know that what you're trying to tell the world and sell the world is a cheap imitation. It's a knockoff because you're not really who you say you are on the inside. This is the paradox that every person on the planet lives with. It's like it's reconciling who they are on the inside to the outside. And the crazy thing is, you become more expensive, like you become more valuable. You become more valuable when you become more authentic, right? So the more courageous you are to be the person, every person that affects, like, influences culture, touches people, anybody who's doing anything that's influencing you, giving you like goosebumps, like, wow, like that you look at them and go, wow. They've tapped into something authentic. They've had the courage to be who God made them to be, and they're done projecting. And when you get to that place, it's a dangerous place. It's a real scary place to be. Like,
that's a scary. That's a very. Oh, geez, I'm not all clogged up. That's a scary thought to me, of people on the inside being on it. Although in a bar, when they get drunk, I see their inside usually.
Well, you do, but that's why you like being around drunk people. Some of them, right?
Some I do, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, dude, you're hilarious.
Some are great. Yeah,
right?
Some are great,
and
then others are like, you can't deal with them. They're just too much. But some are. Yeah, you're right. Some are great when they're drunk.
So this is what I try to tell people: like, you need God to fix you on the inside before you pretend to be something on the outside. Stop pretending. Stop pretending to be a Rolex. You're not a Rolex. You're not a Rolex until your inside matches your outside. You're masking your. You're trying to do something that only God can do on the inside of you. Let God fix your inside, and then project. Have the courage to project. But don't go out there,
Would you ever spend the money on a Rolex?
Man, I look at them all the time. I love watches, so I look at them everywhere I go. But I just can't bring myself to drop 15.
I got out of the watch. I used to be like, I was like the young guy with the fossils and all that stuff. But then I just I kind of went away from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because like they went on your phone and like watches were gone pretty much.
I mean, but I look at it like the Rolex, like the timepieces. I look at them now as family heirlooms. So I want to get one just to give it to my kids.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah,
that's the only reason. Like, I keep buying Harleys. Is I'm like, I want all my sons to have that piece of their dad. And I want them. I'm like, there's two things I give to my kids. I'm like, you can't sell it, can't give it away. Guns and Harleys. I'm like, these are. You got to
customize those bikes. Then all of them have to be exactly custom.
They are.
If you're giving them to them,
from
you. You know what I'm saying? That's the key to that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
If you're gonna, yeah.
So be authentic. Be authentic. Don't be a replica.
You're not going to like this. This is not a very good comment. That you're not going to like this.
I won't.
What if one of your kids die on one of your bikes?
I mean, that's a conversation. I mean, I've had that with them. I'm like, look, we're all going to die.
That's true.
No one's getting out alive. And don't be an idiot.
But it's on your bike.
It's on their bike when they have it. I give it to them. Sure.
I'm just saying, would that make you feel bad at all? It has to.
I mean,
a little bit. It has to.
Of course, but you can't play that game. You can't. You can't play that game. I mean, people tell me that all the time. Like, oh man, my uncle died on a motorcycle. I'm like, well, I mean, I don't tell you about that. My dad was never hanging around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I get it. I mean,
it's a fair question.
It definitely is, but everyone's going to die, and people, and very few live. There you go. Very few live.
Nobody lives.
Very few people live while they're alive.
Oh yeah, live while they're alive. Yeah, no, that's true.
Live. Most people just play it safe. Most people are just out here trying to survive rather than like I'm gonna take a risk and then I'm gonna live. I'm gonna really live. And so I'd rather them live. I'd rather them, just experience life in its fullness than to play it safe and live in fear.
It's a good answer. I like that answer.
The Bible says that that God gives us love, peace, and a sound mind. Love, peace, and a sound mind. Love, peace, and a sound mind. And so if that's what God gives us, then the enemy gives us the opposite. He gives us hate, he gives us worry, and he gives us confusion.
Worry.
Yeah. So I'm like, hey, that's not from God, so just go out there and live your life. And just make sure you live near the exit. Make sure you live near the. Be ready though, man. When it's time to check out, be ready because everyone's checking out. You just got to be ready to check out.
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah. Everybody's going to check out. But that's just something that you don't want to be the cause of it, and that's you would hate to be the cause of it. There's a lot of life to live without a motorcycle. I mean, I personally have one, and I love it. But
yeah,
but
the adventure.
But I'm very careful with it. I'm not as adventurous as you. I don't go out like on these long trips or nothing. I literally, I've never had it more than an hour away. Ever.
No way. Well, I mean, it's not even that's. I mean, it can be just as dangerous.
Times, and that's only been a couple times.
I think if you do the study on that, I don't know exactly, but I think most.
They say within
most
20
fatalities
miles or something,
like really close to home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not to say that there's not danger out there on the open highway or wherever you are, but you definitely have to, especially today, because everybody's smoking weed and everybody's on their phone. Literally, everyone's smoking reefer and everybody is texting and driving. Everywhere. I mean,
it's horrible.
9 out of 10 cars. I'm on the highway. I'm on bike. I'm like, I look over, they're looking at their phone, and I'm like, man.
And you can smell the weed everywhere.
Everywhere.
It's horrible.
Yeah. So
it smelled yesterday. I had to take the bike yesterday, and I could smell it. I'm like, you can't smell anything but that all the way. Because I had to run up here.
Yeah.
And the guys had my truck, and I'm like, I mean, literally, this is 9 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning, and it's like, are you kidding me? I smell weed all the way. I mean, 20-minute ride, smelled weed the whole time.
On that note, man, all the cool stuff
is a little dangerous.
It's a little dangerous and it hurts. Right? All the stuff you remember, it was a little sketchy and it hurt a little bit. I remember this one time I was coming out of northern Florida into Georgia. It was 4 a.m, nothing's open. Temperature dropped to like into the 40s. It's very uncommon. I was not dressed for it. I was on the back of the bike. I had 2 hours to get, probably 2 or 3 hours to get to my friend up in South Carolina. And I pulled off. I was hypothermic. I started to like I'd get dizzy. I felt like I was going to pass out. So I was hypothermic. I pulled off next to this gas station and I threw my coat over the engine to get warm. And I remember in that moment, like thinking to myself, what am I doing? Like, I don't have to do this. This is dumb. Like, why am I doing this? And I took my head and I looked down the road, And as I looked down the road, I saw like you could see the sun coming up, breaking the horizon. And I saw the sunset behind the palm trees and everything. And I just smiled and was like, oh, that's why I do it. And I took a picture of it with my phone and it hangs in my office today. And whenever somebody asks me, what's that? I say, all the cool stuff hurts. All the cool
that's
stuff
true.
Hurts,
yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah, all the cool stuff hurts. Where are you going, dude? All the cool stuff. Jimmy just left. But yeah, all the cool stuff hurts. You're listening today. Life's not promised to anyone tomorrow. So you might as well live that life today, man. Don't sit around and wait for it one day, someday. Take the trip today. I go back, think about the times I was afraid to do things, and man,
I'm a fear. I get afraid to do shit. And I shouldn't. I should try and live a little bit, but there's people. I got people, and they count on me. You know what I mean?
You got to shake hands with death. You got to shake hands with death, man.
I feel like that's something you do when you don't have people count.
No, it's
That's
not.
my thing.
It's happened. I always lived in fear of it until I met Jesus, man. Then when I met Jesus, I was like, oh, I'm immortal. You know, I was like, oh, for me to die is gain, to live is Christ. And I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and live my life like I'm shot out of a gun because I lived that way. I lived hard before I gave my life to Jesus.
Wait, so you gave your life to Jesus and then you became Joe versus the volcano?
I did. Yeah, kind of like that, dude. Like then I started taking trips into like Haiti and third world countries, going over to Uganda, up into the, near the Sudan border, literally doing crazy stuff. Like if I die, I die, man. It's like a trip to heaven. Do not pass go.
It is a
collect your $200. Like you're made. I felt like a made man. I felt like once I shook hands with death and knew that it had no power over me, the fear of it left me, and I'm like, yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
I'm just going for it. So, yeah, you just gotta, hey, I'll see you Sunday.
Yeah,
we'll shake hands with Jesus, man. That's it. Let's go.
My fear is there, brother.
For God has not given you a spirit of. I tell people this. God's not giving you a spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. So that means the spirit of fear comes from the devil. It comes from the devil. He wants you afraid. He wants you timid. He wants you scared. He wants you hiding in a corner somewhere. He doesn't want you out here making a difference. He wants you ruled by the perceptions of what people think of you. It's that authentic stuff. He don't want you authentic, man. He wants you to be a cheap replica, worth very little. He wants you to keep all your truth on the inside, none of your stuff on the outside. That's why, when I see you doing this, I'm like, oh, that's you, man. That's you, because you're saying stuff. You're out here telling people stuff. Yeah, and they're like, I never knew you were that deep. Right? Yeah, but that's
maybe.
Your insight.
Yeah,
no, for sure.
I'm pretty shallow. I don't know about deep,
but they.
I'm like shallow how.
I mean, it's just true. It's true. Like I'm not claiming I know anything or anything, but I'm just saying, like, if there's any depth in me, it doesn't come from me. It comes from my experience with God. And but that's my genuine self. That was the self I'm able to be courageously without fear. Most people aren't able to do that.
No, that's a genuine. Yeah, I mean, you have people. You got people. I mean, that's your big fear is you got people. You know what I mean? And that's. I mean, not that it.
You don't like. Okay, I look at that different too. Like I look at success as succession. Right. So if I'm one dimensional, I die. It's over. They do a eulogy. You better come to my funeral if you're alive, right? But you're going to come, you're going to like that guy, or didn't like that guy, right? And so if I do it and I live for me, I'm one dimensional. But if I put my spirit in somebody else, I immediately become two dimensional. I immediately become 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I don't die. Now I live. So I don't live in the fear of death. I live in the fear of not fulfilling my destiny and inspiring others to live theirs. Like that should be more fearful for you. That your grandchildren now have to receive that part of you that's beautiful. That's like, that part of you that makes you say the eloquent words, that you're courageous. That version of you, that has to live. If it dies, you are one dimensional. You lived unto Jim and not unto your children. Like, so you got to give that stuff away. Your spirit has to be, that's succession. You get succession, you live.
How do you get there? How do you get there? What do you suggest is the best way to get there? Just to not live in fear?
Oh, definitely.
Lead by example, basically?
Oh, you can't have any fear in you. You can't have any fear in you. No quit in you either. You can't. I mean, but quit goes away when fear goes away. And then, but like I said, most people most people project who they want to be or who people want them to be. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know this. You go downstairs and talk to somebody, right? That's why I don't tell people what I do as soon as they meet me. I'm like, oh, you don't need to know what I do. Because as soon as I tell you...
I know, you always get nervous. Right. Every time I bring it up, you're like, already? You got to tell it.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you what I do, who I am, where if you don't know me, I'm just going to let me be a mystery to you because I don't want to have to perform for you. And I don't want you to have to perform for me. That's the worst. You're not safe in that environment. A safe environment, think about the places and the people you're around that make you feel the safest. they let you be you. You don't have to perform for them. You don't have to like. But you get around certain groups of people. I know I'm this way. I get around certain groups of people, and they just want me to talk about the Bible all day long. And like, what do you think about the dispensation of the? I'm like, can we just talk about our kids? Can we talk about old days? Can we just kick it? Can we just, can we just? Because those are a safe environment. And when you're in a safe environment, you're in a place where you can unapologetically be yourself. But as soon as you got to be around people and you got to project, it's the worst. I can't stand it.
Well, I think that there's a big problem, I think, in the whole world today with everybody has to be so extreme one way or the other, and they have to sit there. They have to sit on that fence, and it's so annoying to me.
You're talking to a dude that believes that Jesus is the way, truth, and life, and besides him, there's no other.
Yeah, so, I agree.
You're pretty radical there.
But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like this right and left and like abortion and not abortion. Like people in this country are ticked off about Roe v. Wade being overturned, And
it wasn't overturned. It was just kicked to the states.
Yeah,
I don't understand why people.
Well, I mean, the federal
and now they're
done.
And now
Roe v. Wade is gone. It's overturned.
Yes,
it is overturned.
Yes, it's given to now the jurisdiction.
Abortion rights are back to the states.
Back to the
correct,
states.
Where it was already back.
All
in federal
authority should go to the states.
I don't disagree with that
because that's where we're headed. Because we're going to have to succeed here pretty soon.
But they could have stopped that from happening. It would have been very easy.
How?
All they would have had to do was pick like a first-term abortion. The reason that they pushed back so hard was because they just wanted to be able to abort them the whole time. And it's just like, why do you got to be so extreme? Just be fair about it. Jesus Christ.
He said, be fair about it.
Kill them, you know what I'm saying?
Kill them in the first trimester.
Well, you get people that go, you get people like that are on the religious end that are like, there's no abortion, no excuses, no, you know what I mean? Then you have your people that are like, kill them as long as you want, you know what I mean? And then there's like, to me, there's like, why push so hard? You push so hard that you made it overturned. You could have had it. All you had to do was agree to first trimester. Everybody would have probably went along with it in this country. They would have. I mean, that most people would have.
I mean,
people like myself, I'm not in agreement with doing it. When I was young, I always said that I was okay with it. First trimester is not a choice I would make. As I'm older, I look at it and go, I don't think so. I think it should just not be, you just shouldn't be allowed to do it.
Did you ever hear that comedian talk about this? I forget his name.
Bill Burr.
That's
the greatest one.
Cake, Yeah,
right.
That's the best.
He's like, I'm okay with you doing it. That's fine if you want to do it. However, you're still killing a baby. It's still murder.
It still would have been a cake.
Right.
Yeah.
So the older I get, the more I see it that way because I guess because I've had children and I've been through that process and I've been to the point where, and I'm not saying I had that thought, but I've been at that point where it's a possibility. I mean, was never in my mind, but it was there. The option was there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I've seen it and I'm like, that's just not something you do. You know what I mean? So I'm not into that. But if people would stop getting so extreme, I think you would get along better. I mean, there's a better way to do things. First of all, abortion isn't even necessary anymore. We had this conversation on one of our other episodes.
We did.
I mean, with that, and I don't know how you guys
to talk about it.
I didn't mean to. But Roe v. Wade getting overturned is one of. But what I'm really talking about is just being extreme.
Extreme.
And that's the extreme of it, is that you caused Roe v. That's your own fault. You can blame the right wing all you want, but it was your fault when you wanted to murder a baby at fucking 10 months. I mean, oops, sorry, I should have cut it. But I mean, that's your own fault. I mean, that's your fault.
I see your point there, but I don't believe that decision belongs to man. And then you could pass all the laws you want to, you're still violating the law of God, and it shouldn't be in the decision of a man to make. That's my position on it. But yes, I understand that the extremes of society have gotten us to a place of such like irredeemable middle. Like it's just like nobody wants to walk down the middle. I mean, when you're talking about politics, but the fever pitched of it. If you ask me, I would say it's intentional.
Well, the thing is, we have the freedom of a religion in America. That's the beauty of it.
This is why our nation was built upon.
Yes, that's right. And we have that freedom. And
I would remind everyone of that fact when they go to vote this November.
We're not here to step on your toes. You don't step on mine. Let me do what I want. You do what you want. And
Choice.
that's
You're
that's where some of the people agree with abortion. And you say, okay, that's their agreement to have or whatever. And I'm not saying abortion's the key. But like that right is what gives me my right. You see what I'm saying? Their right for what they want is what gives me my right for what I want. And that's freedom. That's to me true freedom, and freedom of religion, and freedom of that's because they can believe what they want. I can believe what I want. But this anti-Semitic thing that's going on now, again, is another extreme thing. Like, why on October 7th do we have our biggest cities having huge protest against Israel?
Yeah, that's an unsmart place to be. If you know, like, and one more time, I just bring a biblical perspective to this. But Genesis 12 tells us clearly, those who bless Israel, God says, I will bless them. And those who curse Israel, God says explicitly, I will curse them. It's like, I would caution everyone, hey, go read Genesis 12 and kind of get some knowledge before you put yourself at war with God, because of the populist consensus of culture and this crazy, selfish, ridiculous Marxist ideology that exists in the world that's trying to create globalism.
But who's seen that? Who's seen them come in there and murder all those people and as savagely as they did? I mean, it's savage.
Yeah.
And
how can you defend that?
Yeah,
right?
How do you go in there and defend that? How is that possible?
I don't know. I don't know how you defend the platform of abortion. I don't like I said, I don't understand that. I definitely don't understand how you can, defend terrorism.
Well, I mean, you take a stripper home on a Friday night.
What? Are you talking about prostitution, or what are we talking about?
Defending abortion. I mean, there's a point where you go, okay, well, maybe it's all right. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, man. When worlds collide.
Yes, when worlds collide.
Son, yeah.
But no, what I'm saying is that I think that these young kids don't remember what I remember. There was a time, because they're talking about this Iron Dome and this wall that keeps Gaza to the side. But when we were young, I mean, and not that long ago, I mean, the Iron Dome's pretty new. The wall and that's pretty new. Like, there was a time where Israel was dealing with them just walking into their markets and blowing themselves up.
Yeah.
That happened all the time. It was a constant thing.
Yeah.
They had no choice but to do these things to protect themselves. They really did. And the Gaza Strip is sitting portside. They can have anything they want if they would focus on developing themselves instead of trying to kill Israelis.
I think we're all going to have to. Well, first off, nobody really understands the culture of that region, and you have to go there. So I would encourage everybody to go there. I've been there 3 or 4 times. I can't remember. I think 3 or 4. There was a season where I started to run trips in and out of Israel just to get people that experience. And so you got to understand the temperament of that region, and it literally is a biblical tension that goes back to Isaac and Ishmael, and it's the prophecy over both of those children. One is the promised seed, one is not the promised seed, and they've been at war since that moment. That ideological war has. But it's biblical. It's a biblical war that has existed in that region for millennia. Since it happened, since Abraham.
Sure.
And so, in order to understand the context of the conversation, this is where most juvenile sophomoric minds can't enter the narrative, because they go to these colleges, these very liberal colleges, and they're taught to think a certain way, and because they're taught to think that way, they think that they're right. And the problem with deception is it's really hard to know when you're deceived. And they have this deceived mentality about what's happening in that region. And they don't understand the fact that terrorist groups represent one side of the conversation, and they fight against the promised seed of Israel.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And that conversation is never going to change. It's never going to, it's always going to be that way. And Israel's always going to be surrounded by enemies. And the promised seed will always be under attack. It is in the book of Revelation.
But even if you take religion out of it, you
can't
everything.
Take religion out of it, but go ahead.
But I'm saying for these young kids that are like, because you've got these gays for Palestine. Like, I mean, they would slit your throat. But
they would kill you.
Yeah. But, I mean, you have so take religion out of it. Just say take religion out of it. The fact of the matter is, just for security purposes, Israel, prior to blocking everything off and putting up walls and putting in an Iron Dome, was getting blowed up in their local diners or at their libraries.
For sure.
Or, I mean, they're literally were just, in the market, but they're just getting blown up, regardless of why. Who cares about why? I'm not saying I don't care about why, but regardless of why, the things that they had to do to protect themselves, they had to do. They had no choice. Mm-hmm. It was, at Gaza Strip was horrible. They were just launching shit over at them at constant. And these young kids that are out there protesting, that don't even know that. They have no clue that that's what was going on. They don't remember that. Like, they've
been indoctrinated.
It was scary to go to
Israel.
Even probably when you first went to Israel, it was probably scary to go.
Well, no, because the dome was in place.
Was it? Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I started running these groups in probably 10 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And,
and
then, over 6 years, I took 3 or 4 groups in, and it was relatively safe.
But 25 years ago, it wasn't.
No, it was war nonstop. It was, and I don't know when the dome was invented, the Iron Dome and all that. But yes, it was considerably more dangerous. Well, as it stands today, it's still dangerous, but it's, at least there's an element of security provided militarily.
They had no border. They had no border really back then. Prior to them blocking off Gaza and stuff, they never really had. They could just walk in and do whatever they wanted. You know what I mean?
There's been wars there for a long time,
I get it, but I'm talking about the martyrs that were coming in. They would just walk in and do whatever. And that's why they started blocking them off like they were. They still do it. I'm not saying they don't get through. Mm-hmm. But there's a reason that they have the security there that they do that keeps them. Because they try to say that we're holding the Hamas back, holding all of Gaza, basically alienating them. You don't have a choice. You have to alienate them because they're blowing you up in your markets, regardless of why. That's what you have to do for security. It doesn't matter why. It does religiously, but security-wise, there's nobody in Israel would go attack anybody in Gaza unless they were going there to protect them.
No.
For protective reasons. That's the only reason they would do it. That's it.
Yeah. And there's tension. That tension exists there. When we would go to certain areas of the land, we would go through security checkpoints.
Yeah.
And we would go into the Gaza Strip. We would go into Palestinian-controlled, Islam-controlled areas. And you can feel the tension. It was in Bethlehem specifically, Jesus was born. You can feel it there when you cross into that region. I shared this.
That's controlled by Palestine.
Yes. Yeah. Bethlehem. Yeah. It's an Arab territory. And when you go in, you know it. You feel it. The atmosphere shifts on you. You know you're not, but they're still kind to Americans because we go there and spend money on the nativities, so we just.
That's how they make money.
They make money, yeah.
Right.
I shared this on a couple Sundays ago, but there's a conversation unfolding with Jesus and his disciples, and they're like, "Hey, what's it going to be like before when you come back? When you come back, which is it's sobering to believe that Jesus will come back, but he's coming back." And they said, "Well, what's it going to be like?" He said, "Well, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be when the Son of Man returns. It'll be just like it was in the days of Noah," which, for historical perspective, legitimizes the story of Noah. It doesn't make it this real cute story that we dress our nurseries with. It's a real story. It's historical. If you believe Jesus is historical, then you must swallow the idea that the story of Noah is historical as well. And He said it'll be that way. But in order to know what it was like in the days of Noah, then you go to Genesis 6 to kind of, okay, what was it like? And you brought up a name there, and I'm gonna show you something. He said there were three things that kind of identified that in Genesis 6 what it was like. It was corrupt. The whole world was corrupt, so it was global. There was a globalism corruption.
Right now, I mean.
Well, no, Jesus said, this is what Jesus said, as it was then, so shall it be when I return. There'll be global corruption.
Okay.
Not just regional, global corruption.
So it's here.
The whole world will be corrupt. And then he said there'll be violence. And it's interesting that word violence, when you translate it from the Hebrew text, that word violence there is translated Hamas. It's mentioned twice in Genesis 6. And what Jesus says, just before I'm to return, Hamas will commit terrorist attacks. There will be violence that will cover the world.
But they've never stopped.
But just before I return, there will be Hamas. And right now, all you see in the headline is this. We've got one portion of society defending Hamas, and you got another portion of society condemning Hamas. But the conversation is Hamas, violence, violence. And Jesus says, this is what it'll be like just before I come back, Hamas. It's startling what's happening. In Matthew 24, he goes down a list of things that will happen before he returns. It's just, I mean, you could take that day and today and put them together like this, and you would not be able to articulate any variance of separation. It is exactly the climate of that day is today. Everybody will be eating, drinking, which is translated, everybody will see what's happening, but nobody will respond to what's happening. They'll just keep on doing whatever they're doing, trying to ignore the sirens that are going off in society. And that's what,
isn't that the way of human life, though?
Isn't it?
I mean, to ignore and just go.
But it's crazy that you can see what's happening in the world today and just kind of just tune it out and go like, hey, let's go get some coffee. You know what I mean?
It's hard for me.
Apart,
you know what? I keep having a lot of conversations about politics and things, not meaning to. It's not what I want to talk about.
I think it's not politics you're having discussion about. I think you're having conversations about morality.
Well,
you're calling them politics.
Yeah.
But it's really, you're talking about morality. You're talking about moral issues that are foundational to our existence with one another.
Sure.
And they affect how we interact with each other. And we've just allowed politicians to kind of like bogart the conversation when really, like, they're the ones inciting the confusion.
What do you think about Elon Musk?
Either he's a Nephilim or God's using him right now.
I can't tell. I can't tell
either.
Is he a superhero or a super villain?
All my kids and the conversation around my staff, they're like, man, I believe Elon Musk is a Nephilim.
I don't know, dude. I can't tell.
He's a fallen angel, man. He's like this genius mind that's like, wow.
Yeah, either that or he's Dr. Evil. I can't tell. I really cannot tell. I really don't know the answer to that.
I don't know either, but I like the fact that he's outspoken right now. And to be honest, like, it makes me want to go buy a stupid electric car, like, because
I'm not going to go that far. I might buy a Starlink.
But I'm just saying, if I was ever going to, if I ever do, it'll be Elon. Like, dude, Elon. I'm like, Elon's saving the world right now. I mean, like, at least he's kicking the door open for a little while longer. If you ask me, man, he's definitely doing some good right now. With his voice, his influence, he's trying to be a voice of reason in the midst of global.
So you're okay? You like that the Twitter being wide open like it is?
Absolutely. If you don't have choice, you're not free.
Did you know that there's a ton of pornography on it?
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that. I just found that out, bro. Like, I don't go on there enough.
Porn's everywhere, man. Like,
I always thought it was on there, but when somebody was like, man, could he just get rid of the pornography? And they're like, well, then it's not open, and I'm like, I guess I didn't know it was on there. I didn't know. I kind of remember it was before, But I don't go
It's
on Twitter
everywhere.
I don't go on Twitter that much, to be honest.
Well, it's
I really
X now,
don't.
but yeah.
X. I don't go on.
I go there for
very often.
news.
I don't even do
and
that.
To specific outlets, I go there, and
I look at Elon Musk's tweets. I used to look at Donald Trump's tweets, and that's about it. I mean, I really don't go on it a lot.
Elon's saving the world right now, man. With Starlink and everything he's doing
He might be
in North
Dr. Evil,
Carolina.
though, dude.
But
You
I don't know.
How do you know?
We don't.
I mean, there's
don't
a
know.
better chance that it's Bill Gates that's Dr. Evil.
Well,
but, I mean,
I know Bill Gates is evil. There would
Yeah,
be on a
there's no
shadow of a doubt.
question,
There's no
yeah.
question, right? With an Elon Musk, you're like, what's your angle? I mean, anytime I talk to somebody now, I'm like,
well, you know what the
what's
thing
your
is? So
angle?
the thing that I like about Elon Musk, I think that really makes me think he's a good person, honestly, is that he does a lot of things that cost him money.
Exactly.
To do the right thing.
Right.
To do the right thing. And that's you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's to do the right thing and give away. Well, of course, he's got enough that it doesn't matter. But I mean,
But still, he's doing it. You look at a guy like Mark Cuban. He's not.
no.
He's a millionaire, but he's falling in line with communism and Marxism.
Yeah, what
and
happened
he's trying
with
to
him?
suppress.
Because he was a Trump supporter originally.
Yeah, well,
What happened with that with him? I don't get it.
He's on the Diddy list.
Do you think so?
I mean, look. There's a reason they're not releasing this list, bro, and there's a reason these people don't want. I know we just went down a rabbit hole there, but for sure, there's a lot of powerful people on that list, on the Epstein list, on the Diddy list. That
They're
these
supposed to start prosecuting the Diddy list
and
next week.
if Trump gets in, then there will be a prosecution, and they're fearful that that list will be released in order to take back the freedoms of America.
Is that what it is?
I like that. I mean, I
think they're
I hear that
anti-Trump
and go,
because I think that they know his followers will follow him a little bit more than any of them.
You don't think there's anything more nefarious than just, this is weird. I mean, this is. I mean,
I'm one of those people that believe more that there's better. And I know you say shame on me for thinking that.
I don't say shame on you. I say that
I believe that most people
that's a
are
delusion.
or want to be a good people. And for you to say Mark Cuban is this or that and he's on that list or whatever, that's fine. That's a few people.
I don't know that
How
he
many
is.
people were at
I'm
the
just
Diddy
saying-
party? Not half the country.
I'm just saying.
It's not half the country.
I'm just saying there would be a lot of leverage that one political party could use in order to keep people in lockstep with their ideology and their laws, how they rule, and if Democrats get into office again, I don't believe we will have ever another fair election. If you can't see the corruption right now, you don't have two brain cells and your eyeballs don't work.
No, everybody can see it.
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
think there's too many people that don't know.
If you don't see that she is a Marxist-raised plant, she's been planted there with Marxist ideologies.
I don't even
from
know
the
if she
global
has
elite.
any ideas.
If you don't see that BlackRock, Vanguard, and all of those other 3 or 4 more rule the world currently, and that one guy and his policies are a threat to that, then you're not awake, man. You're just not awake. You live in the Matrix.
But do you
And
think Kamala has any ideas of her own? Do you believe that?
No. Her thoughts.
either.
No, her thoughts are planted by.
Yeah, I don't think
very.
she knows what to think.
I think her thoughts are planted by a very nefarious group of people who want to run the world, and I think Bill Clinton is in that list. I think Obama's in that list. I think, man, I should probably stop saying these things, but yeah.
Well, Obama, he helped her when she ran for attorney general,
And
as
why?
he was president.
Why?
That's weird, right?
Exactly,
Very
man.
weird.
Exactly. And how come all these people that kind of break ranks with them end up dead?
Yeah, I mean, I hear that stuff, but I don't know what's true and what's not true. The media, the worst problem is the media, even right or left, it don't matter. The media that comes out, I don't know what's true and what's not true.
Yeah.
I've seen at least 3 people were murdered, supposedly, and then you find out that wasn't even true.
There's more.
I know that there's a ton of them, but I mean, I just don't understand what's true and what's not true. I don't know what to believe.
Epstein killed himself.
I mean, I would if I was him. I mean, I wouldn't want to face that, would you?
I would try to get out by saying, "Hey, I got a list that didn't work out well for him."
Either that, or you just say, "I don't want to face this."
Or
I mean,
you don't want to face it.
I mean, I would believe that most people wouldn't want to face it. I would think that's true.
Yeah.
I would think that most people wouldn't face it. And I mean, he could have been murdered. I don't know. Who knows? I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm not here to decide whether or not that what happened in that room when I wasn't there. I don't want to make up an assumption.
Yeah.
I believe that it's possible one way or the other. I also, because I believe that killing yourself, I mean, just like Ariel Castro or whatever, he killed himself too. Same thing. He doesn't want to face that bullshit. And I don't blame him. I wouldn't either. I mean, if I did such evil things, I would, and you know, people, that goes back to what.
Well, how come he's the only one that did the evil things when everyone else was there? No one else was there doing evil things, just him?
I didn't say that.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I mean, so if he died, if he took his own life, it was very convenient for all the other people that were there.
I know, but now, so for that to happen, this is my problem. Okay, for what I say to happen, and I'm not saying it's true or not true, but if he hung himself, okay, and that's what I think, he probably just hung himself. That takes just him deciding to kill himself. Okay. If what you're saying happens, that means that a guy who took a job at a security prison and probably a few different people.
Well, you look at the coincidences.
All had to get along and get attached to it and keep a secret and keep. And it just, I mean, in this world, I don't see people that keep secrets anymore.
I agree with you. There's not a whole lot of people
that keep secrets. So I think it would be more practical.
So that's why all these people keep ending up dead, because they can't keep secrets.
So you think all the security guards just got killed off?
Well, it's mysterious. Like, just think of that. There's no such thing as coincidence here, man. Like, you think about, like, okay, so the tapes, the videotape just went blank for that period of time where he killed himself. That's what they're telling you.
Yeah, I know that's what they're saying. I mean, I get that. I get it. I'm not saying. It's just hard to believe.
If it walks like a chicken, clucks like a chicken, gobbles like a chicken, that's a daggone chicken, man. Don't tell me it's a goat. It's a chicken. It's a chicken.
I like to think better of people, I think. I guess. I don't know. I do. I really do. I want everybody to be good people. That's what I really want. That's all I want in the world, is for everybody to be good people and do what's best, and for people who are sick and disgusting to just go ahead and kill themselves. And that fits well with me,
Oh. I mean, the problem is, this is like, don't you see your evil side?
I don't have an evil side. There's no evil side.
You don't have a dark side?
You say that. When you say that, I'm like, what the fuck? What kind of demons does he have?
Yeah, man. I just realized that within me are all the, like, it just,
I don't think there's, like, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think I have, like, not evil. No.
You lie?
Very rare. I mean, in the past I used to lie, but it's always come back and it's not worth it.
I don't even want to go down this rabbit hole of asking you questions of sin, but any sin?
Do I sin? Oh, of course I sin. Yeah. I'm not saying I don't sin. I didn't say that.
That's darkness.
Okay.
That's when I say the darkness, that's what I'm referring to. I'm referring to, like,
but I don't,
pride.
I would never do anything to hurt someone else. I would never want anyone hurt. I would never want. And
I genuinely believe you're a good human being that way. But I'm saying there is in mankind, there is this propensity toward evil. Because if it's not, then how do you explain the atrocities we excuse as normal in our own society?
There's a lot of weird shit that goes on, and a lot of it is always based on three things, and that's it. There's only three things that cause all of this.
Oh,
okay, and the three things are money, sex, and religion. That's the three things that cause all the problems.
Religion.
Oh,
interesting.
God, that's wars. All wars have been fought over religion. I don't think there's a war that wasn't a war over religion for the most part. I mean, territory, but usually the territory has something to do with religion. You know what I mean? Yeah, religion has caused all wars. Absolutely.
Really?
You don't think that's true?
No. What
wars? What big wars have not been fought over religion?
Well, I think what you're saying is a bit of a way to say that one moral structure has deemed itself more justified than another moral structure. Therefore, their religion has caused these wars. I believe there is right and there is wrong, and that yes, that there should be a position taken in everyone's life on what is right and what is wrong. And if we do not have those positions taken across the globe at a larger scale, at a much larger, at 40,000 feet, then yes, of course, we would have just anarchy. And what we're beginning to see to some degree is what happens when there is no moral restraint in society.
Well, Christians' religion doesn't believe in murder and killing to justify your, but other religions do. Other religions, I'm not saying Christianity, I'm saying religion. The people's religions
saying. But
are what caused it.
Religions are moral. They're moral.
Well, Muslims can have all the religion in the world and have all the morals in the world, but they don't have to have a jihad where they're murdering what they call infidels.
But it's their moral law. Their religion is their morality. It is what they determine or deem as right or wrong. That is the sole job of religion. That's why people have religion.
So how can you say it's not religion that's causing the war then? I'm
saying that just because they call it religion doesn't mean it's right.
I'm not saying. I don't know. That's what I've said that all along. There's a million religions. They all have their own beliefs. I'm not saying that one's right or wrong. I'm just saying.
I am telling you. That's what I'm saying. That what most people are call religious wars are not religious wars. They're everyone else against God. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying there's one God, and anyone who rebels against him is at war, not with their mankind. They're at war with the moral law of God that's being defended by the person. So if there are wars that exist in the world that are raging, there are, and I hate to do this, but let's just use.
I hate to do this, but here I go.
But let's just use what's happening in the Middle East.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? You can call that a religious war if you want. But what I'm telling you is, it's every false religion. It's every false moral facade.
Yeah, but the debate isn't whether or not the religions are real or not real. No, that's not the debate. But religion
but that is
still
what we hide behind when we go to war. We say, my God is the God, and my rules are the rule. This is what we're having in our country right now. We're having this big split that says, don't tell me what to do. Don't let your religion tell me what to do. But my question to that is, well, whose laws are going to rule us then? If it's not going to be God's laws, then whose laws are we going to allow to rule us? We're going to allow one political party to make, or two political parties. We're going to trust political parties. We're going to trust the state. That's Marxism. That's what Marxism is. Marxism is the rule. We make the state God. And we say, let the state be God. Let it determine right or wrong. This is why we can pass laws and say, it's cool for us to murder a kid 6 months into a pregnancy. Or even beyond that.
Right.
Even afterwards. All the way
birth.
6 days following.
Yeah.
And let's, as a matter of fact, let's murder the elderly as well, because they're going to get to a point where they're not going to contribute to society. So we should permit the murder of the elderly as well.
I mean, it would only be the.
But if we pass the laws as the state, then we can say that that's okay. Take them to the hospice so they can have a slow drip to death, and we can put them out of their misery, because it's the merciful thing to do.
That's what Germany did with the Jews.
That's eugenics.
Yeah.
That's eugenics. And Planned Parenthood and abortion came directly from the eugenics movement of
But how do you
World War
say
II.
that that's not a war about religion? Just because you don't agree with the religion that's at war does not change the fact that the war is not
I'm
about
hypothesizing,
religion.
and I'm saying,
And how come you have no belief that there's nothing to do with money or sex? You didn't talk about any of those.
Well,
it's just the
because-
religion that offends.
well, no, because it doesn't offend me. I have these moral wrestlings all the time because I don't believe. Well, because money and sex.
I didn't say
isn't-
Christianity. If I said that, I could see why you got offended.
Well, because the religious aspect of it, that gives me the now I have something to hide behind. Now I have something to hide behind, and that justifies my moral law. And so I can say my God's right, and you can say your God's right. My right God's right, my left God, or the left God's right. No, the right God's right. And I'm just saying, no. All of those gods are wrong. Jesus is the only God. And any ideology is an empty philosophy and religion. It's a
But
false
aren't you
religion
just
that
as
puts us up-
guilty as someone else then? When you say I'm the only right one?
Not if I'm willing to submit myself to the truth. Well, I mean, this is...
Because they believe as hardly as you do that their religion is correct. They're not hiding behind it. They actually believe that.
Right.
I mean, it's a 100% belief in their heart and soul. That's all they feel, that they're correct.
Okay. And I'm saying, let's reason together the two gods. Okay? Let's bring the two gods to the table and let's examine their qualifications as God. Like, let's see who most qualified to be God. You have Allah in Islam, and
Which I still don't understand, because I always just thought that was Arabic for God. And I thought it was the same God.
it can't be the same God. But let's just.
How can it not be the same God? Just because it's spoken in a different language, it can't be the same God?
It can't be the same God because Allah didn't even exist until 600 years following the
That's
resurrection
Muhammad.
of Christ.
That's
No,
Muhammad.
That's Allah. Muhammad was the prophet that spoke on behalf of Allah.
But Allah was still
Islam-
supposedly just God.
I want to get back to the religion.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Islam is a religion that existed that came into existence 600 years following the resurrection of Christ. Therefore, he can't be God. Jesus, the Bible. But I take you to the beginning of the Bible and say that before anything existed, God was there, and he took chaos and he created cosmos. And then Jesus enters into it. So let's just take Jesus as the expression, as the express image of God, and let's put him on the table, and let's put him next to Buddha. Okay, so you don't have this inner conflict. I'm just trying to say, so let's put them beside each other and say, okay, one says you must achieve enlightenment. Okay, in order to harness the authority of heaven, you must achieve enlightenment. In order to be in union with God, you must achieve enlightenment through these different means. You must go find your way to God. Jesus comes as God, three persons. In Genesis, he comes, and then he's revealed in Genesis 18. In John, he's revealed as the Son of God. But Jesus comes as the express image of God and says, look, I'm God and man, and I'm going to make a way for you to have union with me. You don't have to do anything but believe in the sacrifice and the gift that I gave you. You don't have to die for me. I'm going to die for you. Buddha says, you do everything for me, and maybe one day you'll make it. Jesus comes, and he says, I'm going to die for you so you can make it. Now, I ask you, you put those two gods on the table, which one do you want?
It does. Well, Jesus is my guy, but that's.
But I'll put Jesus on the table like that with any false god that exists on the planet.
But so how do you say God in France?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Because I think that's what you're doing.
I'm not doing that.
Because Allah,
the God of Islam, is not the God of the Bible.
They believe it is. They believe it's the same God.
You can believe anything you want and be genuinely wrong.
They believe that the word Allah is only speaking of God, and God can only be one person. Okay, so there's only one God.
The next time that we have and I don't mean this to disparage their religion. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying there's only one God, and his name is Jesus. And ask them who Jesus is.
He's the son of God. Well, they believe he's the Messiah, but they don't believe he is God. They don't believe that is true. That is true. They believe he's a Messiah and not God himself. And that is true. That's 100% true. Right. But how can they believe that he's the Messiah and Allah's the God? So we're still definitely talking about the same people. Well, what we believe their role was, you know what I'm saying, is it's the same person. It has to be. And I find that to be a bad misrepresentation to say that the word Allah by definition means God.
Well, I mean, you can give me...
And in English, God means God. So it's the same thing.
Well, there's a lot of words that mean the same. You know, like a cup in English is a cup, and then a cup in French is I don't know, whatever it is. But, you know, like, just because they have the same word for a thing doesn't mean that it is the same thing. It is not the same thing. Jesus in the Bible is not the Jesus of the Quran. It is not. The Quran is not the Bible. The Bible is the holy written word of God. It is the logos expression of God.
I'm not debating that. All I'm debating is whether or not they're speaking of the same people, and they are.
They are not. You keep telling me that.
Because they are.
If you want an electrician, do you call a plumber?
I've talked to them, and I know for a fact by speaking to Muslim, I have a lot of Muslim friends. And I know that every one of them believe that
they know Jesus?
Our God and their God is the same.
Do they know Christ?
They believe that Jesus is a Messiah. They don't believe they don't believe he died. They don't believe that he could have died.
Jesus is not God to them.
That's what they believe.
Allah is God to them. Jesus is not God to them, Jim.
I didn't say that he is.
I
never did. I said
they're not the same person.
But I'm saying the word God, their heavenly God, they believe is the same person.
They may believe that, but they would be wrong if they don't believe right of Jesus. Jesus says,
you can be wrong about one aspect and not wrong about both.
Jesus says,
in my opinion.
Well, there's a revelation of truth that can unfold. Yes, I will give you that. Yes, for sure. You can come to faith. Nobody comes to faith with full revelation. You come to faith with partial revelation. You're like, oh, I just saw I just saw the backside of Jesus, and it made me believe in him, which leads me to a further revelation in Jesus, which grows me into the fullness of the image of Christ. I'll give you that. But the door is Christ. He said, I am the door, and no one comes to the Father except through me. In the story of Noah, it is perfectly illustrated in the ark that Jesus is the ark, as the boat was the ark for Noah. And in the ark of Noah, there was only one door. There was one door in, one door out. There's no way to salvation except through that one door. And on that day, God said to Noah, get inside. And then God shut the door. And that is exactly a perfect portrayal of Jesus today, that there is no way to the Father except through Jesus.
Was the ark physically there, or was it
100%? You can look it up you can go there and see it right now.
I was trying to tell from your conversation if you were saying that it wasn't a physical thing.
It's definitely historical.
Oh, yeah, I know they say it is, but that's why I was the one to ask you about.
I just think it's hilarious that
but it doesn't seem like it was big enough to fit two of each.
Have you ever been to the Ark thing down in Kentucky?
I have not.
Oh my goodness, it's amazing. You gotta go see it. Take your kid, just for the fact, like it's.
There's so many species, though.
It's insane.
How do you fit two of them in each one? That's crazy. Well, of course, I don't think we probably had the species we have today.
They explain that. They explain that whole thing. Like, just because it was a dog doesn't mean it was every dog.
Right.
Just because it was a bird doesn't mean it was every bird. Inside of that one dog was every other dog that would come and evolve. Is like, that's the thing where a lot of people out there who they believe that evolution is at war with the Bible. It's not. Like the Bible, it's not at war. Yes, we evolve. Lizards evolved, but species did not. There's not a half monkey man running around, contrary to what we all want. Well, I want to see Bigfoot. I do too, but I've been in the woods long enough to know that he's not real. So I forget how we got to that conversation. Oh, long conversation.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think we didn't mean to go to that. What I said was, what started this conversation? Yeah. I can tell you what it was.
Okay.
I said that evil in man comes from, basically, in my opinion, from sex, greed, and religion. Yeah. And I think that's still true. I don't think you convinced me otherwise.
I would say that
Like, I think what Russia's doing right now is greed.
Okay, I would say that it's none of those, and it's one thing, and it's power. And that every other thing is a means to that thing, power. And I believe that the scriptures reveal that in that when Jesus,
I don't think everybody wants power.
the devil,
I know people that clearly do not want power at all.
Then they definitely have a sense of they're wise. Those are wise people that don't want power. Yeah. Those are very
I know
smart
people that like
I would surround
to
myself
be like
with
the
those people.
second command.
I like those people.
Yeah.
That's when if I could go back, I'm like, oh man, forget it. I don't want to be in power. Power is an elixir that brings destruction, and it has the potential to destroy man's life. This is why the devil offered Jesus power. He said, if you'll worship me, I'll give you power, and I'll give you power through a means that's corrupt. It won't require a sacrifice. Jesus, just bow down and worship me, and I'll give you the world. That's what the devil comes in. It's no different today. He comes to us today and he offers us a sacrifice-less gospel, and he offers a false power, a power that. But power is you see, that's what's happening in the world today. That's why Vanguard and all of these corporations are buying up land, and that's why. At what point does the guy, Microsoft guy, what's his name?
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates. At what point does Bill Gates have enough? Why does he want more? Is it about money? Is it about sex? Or is it about power? At what point do these gluttonous politicians say enough's enough? It's power, man. People love power. I watch people when they get a little bit of it, and then I determine how I treat them for the rest of my relationship with them. If I see them act crazy with just a little bit of authority, can't trust you. I literally disconnect myself. I'm like, oh nope, never mind. You are not to be trusted. With a little, you just don't take something away from people. Give them everything. I would say that to business owners, like, hey, give them the keys to the cash register. See what they do with it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. See what they do. He who is faithful with little will be faithful with much. But power is an elixir that very few people can handle.
I know lots of people that don't want that part. And I'll tell you who one of them is Guido. Guido doesn't like power. He doesn't want it.
He probably sees the evil in it.
He doesn't like it. And the other one is my brother-in-law, Brandon. I know for sure. He's so many times he could be the boss, and he just always chooses to be second in
Smart
command.
guy. Smart guy.
That's why he could be the boss. He's smart enough to do it.
Smart guy.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. But that's how we got on the subject anyways. And I don't know if we solved anything in that.
Well, we went around the mountain a bit.
But I wonder about Russia though. Like, what's the deal with Russia? Like,
they're on our shores up in Alaska. We should be asking ourselves some questions there.
Yeah, we should be.
What's going on?
Yeah, I don't get it. And then why are they wanting to send money to Lebanon and Israel at the same time? The government. It's crazy, right? That's
the industrial.
That's wild.
Let me be.
And nobody says okay. And nobody says can't do that. Nobody. They're just like keep wanting to do it. Like this is crazy.
Why do our very own politicians fund both sides of a war?
That's what they're doing essentially. If you're sending it to Israel and Lebanon,
right? So you're funding both sides of a war. Why are they doing that? The industrial war complex, right? It's what killed JFK.
Yeah. Why did Trump not give us that? That's what I want to know.
Give us what?
He was supposed to. That was what he agreed he was going to do.
Because he probably saw, like, oh my goodness, like, if I pull the covers back on this, they'll know that they can't trust their government for sure.
Well, then that's what we.
And there would be a seceding of states.
That's what we need to know.
Oh well, I think if you can't see that now, I mean.
Well, I know that's what happened. I know there's no question that. Did you ever read Chaos yet or no?
Not yet.
Yeah. You gotta read.
I mean, it's definitely you can see that the direction that we're going. If
that stupid light, what the heck's going on?
I don't know. It's got on a timer now. If we keep going in this direction, then what'll happen is there will be the industrial war complex will continue to feed itself. We'll be taxed into oblivion to feed the elites, and eventually we'll have to succeed to free states or states that are run by the government. Like there will be a revolution that will take place again.
You think so,
brother?
You believe that's going to happen?
100%.
You do?
Yeah, I mean, I believe it so much. I'm preparing for it. If it don't go right in November, I'm ready either way. But I guarantee you, like, there will be some absolute.
You know what I think needs to happen in this country more than anything?
They should give their life to Jesus, and we all get saved, and we can.
Well, I'm a firm believer in it, and just as we have religion, they should have religion.
And on that note,
and I believe that wholeheartedly.
On the Jesus note, like, he's the only God that says, "Bless your enemies."
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, Buddha might too.
He's the only God that
Buddha
says,
might.
if
Buddha's
they
a
smack
pretty
you on
loving
one
guy.
side of the face, let them smack you on the next. He's the only God that says, take up your cross and follow me. He's the only God. Like, I could just go on and on and on about what makes him distinct, what makes him separate from every other false god of the world.
Yeah, but that being said, we want our freedom of religion, and everybody else deserves theirs.
Absolutely,
And
100%. Without a choice, we're not free.
That's what. And when you say things like we can't make laws as a state. Now, I agree
I'm not
that
saying
the
you
state
can't make them. I'm saying the foundation of those laws better be superior to man's ideas.
I mean,
And
I think
is-
the ideas are supposed to be good to all religions and beliefs. I believe that, and I think I don't think it's a state deciding them, though. I think the people are supposed to decide them clearly. I think one of the ways that they could fix things is to stop making all these riders to every law. You know, I think that if they shorten laws, like if they made them where they had to be specific only, you know what I'm saying? I think that would solve
What do you mean?
90% of the problems in this country.
When you say that, explain that. What do you mean?
Well, if they want to pass a bill to give $10 billion to aid for a hurricane that's coming through, and Lord knows they need to, that bill is 900 pages.
Right, that's ridiculous.
That doesn't need to be
It's
there.
ridiculous.
And there's other laws that are in there, and then it becomes, you know, if you don't vote for this, it's, you know, you don't want to help the hurricane victims, but
you
in
think
the
that's what's happening
meantime,
down in North Carolina?
oh, I would. I mean, in North Carolina, that I can't even. I don't know. I don't even understand how Bush responded to Katrina the way he did, and and I always thought as well as he did. You don't remember that?
I mean, I remember the event. I just don't remember the politics of it all. I remember it being an absolute debacle. Like, absolute.
It wasn't
trash.
as much of a debacle. I mean, it was just the problem there is that the water hadn't gone away. I mean, you had to get the water out before you could even do anything.
Right.
And it just had the logistics of it was not planned out, I guess. I don't think that they had it set up to know what to do if the levees failed. I don't think they had.
No, they had.
And
no
I
plan.
think that was the biggest problem in that scenario. But I mean, literally within a couple days, we had lots of helicopters pulling people out of there and getting everybody out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, North Carolina is just there's nobody doing anything for them. And
why is that?
And then yet they had the nerve to say that there was a debacle with Bush. He had a lot to figure out in that scenario.
I agree. Okay, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think there's much to figure out there.
I think the biggest outrage,
get out there and help.
I think the biggest outrage with that whole thing is the billions of dollars that went across the world, but now suddenly are not available for the tax-paying citizens of America, and there's no relief being offered.
And then they're saying that it's fake news to say that they offered them $750 each. I watched her say it. She said it.
Yeah, you said it
on air. Like that's what she said. $750.
And then I get in a feed of like all these people just down there, and now I'm connected to the people down there, and they're just getting on and they're just telling the truth. They're saying what it is, and they're exposing the government. They're saying like, no, FEMA's here stealing our relief. People are bringing relief and FEMA's stealing it.
Yeah, I heard they're like not letting them come through because they want to bring it in.
Yeah, and they shut down the airways because they don't want people telling the story. Don't want to get out. Why? Because it negatively affects the outcome of the presidential race.
Absolutely crazy.
It's insane. I was going to leave Monday morning. I was going to leave, and my wife wouldn't let me.
No.
No. Come on, my daughter's getting married on Monday, and I'm like, I gotta go. Like, my heart was breaking. I feel like those are my people. Like, I'm from Appalachia. I just feel like, man, I'm going down there. I'm gonna run supplies up a mountain if I have to, but I'm gonna go. And my wife said, you can't, and I'm like, okay. Right, but I want to be there. Like it's just horrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrible. Like, to think that just a wall of mud could just wipe away your whole family and everything you know, and nobody care.
That's how it feels.
Nobody's
there.
That's
doing
what they're
anything.
saying.
That's how it feels.
That's what they're saying. I got friends
everything I see.
I got a person I know in real time. She's there. She used to tell my location in Avon Lake, and she moved and she does that kind of thing. So she goes to those areas and disasters, and that's what she does. And she's there, and she's giving me like, no, here's where you want to send your money, Troy. Here's when you want to send your relief. We're loading up a camper right now as we speak, working with another trucking company to get some relief to go down, and posting it all. But she's like telling me where to take it. She's telling me in real time what's happening on the ground. She's like, no, it's despicable what's happening. That the government is not there. And if they are there, they're just kind of sitting around. Like, it's citizens.
I saw Ron DeSantis. That's the thing that
he sent his National Guard in.
I seen that, but I also seen him say, and he said it came out of his mouth. He said that he had not heard from Kamala because she said he wasn't taking her calls. Mm-hmm. Said, I have not heard from her. My phone hasn't rang. He said, but I have talked to Biden, and he's given us everything we've needed, and he's been a good supporter of it. That's what he's saying. Now, and DeSantis is no Biden fan, so clearly he wouldn't do that. Why is he saying that and not anyone else? I don't get that.
You've seen, she tried to call him, and he said, I won't let you politicize what's happening down here in Florida now. You're not allowed to do it.
He said he didn't get the call at all.
No, get it. The recent conversation he had, woke up this morning, heard him say it.
Oh, it was this morning.
It was this morning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yesterday, that's not what he said.
Yeah, she tried to reach out to him. Maybe it was because of that conversation. He wouldn't take her call and said, look, you're not about to politicize Milton and what's about to take place. By the way, have you heard like how people are asking Alexa future questions, and then
my wife sent me the video.
Bro, I'm like, are we living? We were literally in the Matrix right now. Like, what?
Yeah, my wife sent me the video. She did it. She tried it at home, and it did tell her. Yeah, it told her 200 and what did it say? 256 died, and that it hit as it was a level 5, and I think it said it come on land on a level 4.
Oh my goodness,
that's what it said. It literally said that. In October of 2024. But here's the problem.
I want out of the Matrix.
No, here's the problem. And I'll go look at it right now because I want.
What is the problem? What do you mean?
There is a problem with it.
Okay,
and I'll tell you what the problem is.
Because I'm confused.
I mean, if it all becomes right, that's
or in the past. Are we?
If it becomes true, then that's one thing. But I feel
like I'm in a Terminator movie right now. What is happening?
No, here's the problem with it. The problem is.
Are we over there Googling something? What are you doing?
Where the information comes from. Hold on, let me find it here. It says, where you at? Da 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 da. She sent it to me. She asked our own at home. She asked our Alexa at home. And it says where they get the information from. That being the key to everything. Is where it's coming from.
So it's like projected then? So these are projections?
It's basically
AI generated.
It's a bad.
Okay, well, we'll know.
No, that's what I said. If it all comes true, that's a whole nother thing. But here it is right here. So let me see if I'll put it on here real quick. Let me make sure I'll have it so it plays through so everybody can hear it. I got to make sure I got everything on. I do. I'm not good at this. Having to do this stuff while I'm doing stuff sucks.
Well, we got to get a guy in here to help us do that.
I need it so bad.
Let's get a guy in. Okay.
I do so bad.
Who out there can help us? Anybody out there want to help us? Be on the Tucker Thompson.
Yeah, and also with Guido too.
Got to have a hot take.
Yeah, that would be nice to have it. Okay, so there's Bluetooth. So it should come through now. Let me make sure my volume's up. All right.
I keep hoping I'll bump into Guido in here one day.
Hurricane was Hurricane Milton.
Can you hear it? Did you hear it?
I heard it.
You did hear it?
I mean, vaguely. I heard her ask the question, but then I didn't hear
It
the
should
reply.
come over here on the Bluetooth, though. Why is it not? Let me see. I do have it on here, right? Bluetooth is on.
I hear that. I hear that big truck outside.
Yeah, I do too.
Guido,
right?
is this Guido's like magic ball over here? Like,
Yeah, that's his crystal ball.
his crystal ball, so you can see the future.
Yeah.
What kind of hurricane was Hurricane Milton?
Hurricane that caused widespread.
Okay, so here's what we're
So
missed.
how is that not
I don't know
accurate
why
then?
it's not coming through because
heard it.
listen to
I
this.
heard
What kind of hurricane was Hurricane Milton?
From fandom.com.
Fandom.com. That's the problem.
So who's
So
fandom?
if you look at fandom, it's just garbage. It's just they're just fun. They're just playing around.
Oh.
So all Alexa is doing is finding fandom.com.
Just anything available to talk about it.
Sure,
on the
because all they
internet.
do is Google. That's
They
all
just
they
grab
do.
it.
And somebody just puts on
I'll
their
tell you,
fandom.
that really sent a shiver of cold reality down my spine, man. I was like, oh, man, I want out of the matrix. I was like,
Yeah, look at fandom.com because that's where the information is actually coming from.
Oh, man.
It's fandom.com is like if you got information from Kamala Harris.
Perfect. We know where you stand. Perfect. I agree. Okay, I understand everything now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's in line with the globalists and the elites and Vanguard.
It's
and
just
all
not
that.
even that.
Gotcha.
It's just.
So
I
it's-
think it's just kids just
It's,
playing.
it's like
honestly,
the
I don't
Inquirer
even think
in
yes.
digital form.
Yes.
Wonder-
yes. What happened?
understood.
Do they have Inquirer?
I
and
think they
stuff
do.
anymore?
Yeah.
They still have that?
Yeah, you still go through the grocery store and see the. I don't know if it's still called Inquirer, but I see the ridiculous like.
Do you? I don't-
stuff
I don't,
there. Like there's
I don't know
aliens.
the last
and-
time I've been in a grocery store.
Yeah. I'm curious. Do you believe in aliens? Like,
Do I believe in aliens?
yeah, are they real? Or,
I think that it would be arrogant for us to believe we're the only life form in the universe. Now, is that an intelligent life form, or I think it's almost arrogant to think that we're the only intelligent life form in the universe. I don't know how big the universe is, so I mean, you know, I don't. Yeah, I think that have they come to this planet? I don't know. It's hard to say. There's definitely been reports and
there's
weird
something
stuff,
going on now, right?
and I've seen some odd things in my life that
I mean, the
thought
government said they're real.
that there's definitely been weirdness, but I think it would be arrogant anyways of us to think that we're the only life form. I think that would just be.
So there is a metaphysical existence outside of our own.
I would think there's something. I mean, the universe is so big. It's so big. It's infinite.
It's so big.
It's infinite.
So
Infinite.
infinite.
I
don't
think.
know. I don't know.
I think.
I don't know.
That's how I feel. But I could
I've
be
reduced
wrong.
myself to
I mean, do you believe in reincarnation?
no.
Well, then if you don't believe in that, then the universe must be infinite because heaven has to be huge because everybody dies and their soul goes and then
Yeah.
has
So
to
you
keep
just
going.
blended two things together, man. It's like that freaks me out.
How?
You just took a biblical truth and then blended it with like fantasy. Like it's like this. Now we have unicorns. You see what I'm saying? Like,
But do you see what I'm
I
saying?
mean, yes.
I mean,
yes.
unless they're
think-
recycling the souls in reincarnation, then it has to be infinite.
It. Well, no, it can't be infinite because it was. I don't know. I don't know what I believe about that. I mean, I believe what the Bible. I believe what the Bible says about it, but I think my understanding of it is very sophomoric. Very. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to figure that out. But like when people talk about the Earth being billions of years old, I don't believe that. I think it's 6,000 years old.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what. And the only reason I know that is because I just use the Bible as a point of reference. So for me, it's very simplistic. I just use the Bible as the point of reference.
Well, I feel like the Bible. I feel like there's had to have been so many years of evolution before humans were, functional enough to be able to start to communicate
That's not what the
community.
Bible said. The Bible says that God created Adam
The heaven.
and Eve.
Yeah, no, I get
Heaven,
that.
earth,
I get
Adam
that.
and
I
Eve.
get
so
that.
God stood outside of time and created time for you and I to live in. And we are eternal spirits living in temporary souls trapped within our times, designated to us on earth. But everything has eternal consequence. And what you do with your designated time determines your eternal existence.
So you don't believe? Do you believe? So how many years are you saying? 6,000.
6,000.
So you don't think that?
No.
You don't think that the Earth existed before humans?
No, I believe exactly what the scripture said happened.
That he says
God,
there was no animals on the planet before us?
The earth was formless and void, and God hovered above it, and then God created. And then God created. And then what's interesting is how God created. He used his words to create.
Sure.
And then he just created. He created everything and then he put us in charge. He put man in charge. And then he was in union with the man he created, which further, points out the evidence of the Trinity when he said, "Let us make man in our image." This is God having a conversation with the three persons of himself when he created humans. And he said, "Let us create them in our image," that we were made in the image of God. And then Adam lost the fellowship of heaven when because he had a free choice, because real love gives a choice. If there's no choice, then it's not love. So he gave him a choice, and he did not obey and ate from the tree of good and evil, and here we are today. But Jesus came and restored what Adam lost. That's what the Bible tells us. So yeah, I believe that God created it.
I guess I never thought of it that way. I just think of it just as
that's kind of the explanation of Genesis in the opening chapter.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I knew that, but I thought that I guess I thought that other things existed, just not humans.
None of it. God stands outside.
I mean, I know there was no
and
light.
Thank God that He does.
Gave it light at that point, then.
We pray that He stands outside of time, that there's more beyond just this realm of time that we know. Like
how long was it between the time He said, "Let there be light," and He created Adam and Eve?
A day?
Was it? It was 7 days.
A day. There were days. There were 7 days.
Yeah, the seventh day rested.
He rested. Which, we come into the rest of Christ when we receive Jesus. He is our rest. So yeah, we're 7. That's my greatest explanation of that. I mean, it makes more logical sense to me than billions of years. It takes less faith for me to believe that there was a God who stood outside of time, created it for me, knew when I would be best fit for my time, custom fit me for my time, put me within my time, and then gives me the opportunity to have a relationship with Him within my time. And then when my time is finished, I go to be with Him in eternity. That's a better explanation of my existence than billions of years ago.
But my thing is I know
sludge
I
came
didn't
together
know if,
with.
I never knew if 7 days was literal.
I mean, I don't think any of us know, as a matter of fact, whether 7 days.
That's where I think where my.
There's another passage of scripture that says, with the Lord, 1 day is as if 1,000 years. That's in the New Testament even, and so I mean, there is speculation there. We could question that. Well, was it 7? Was it 7 days or was it 7,000 years?
Right. But that's I guess where I'm getting
at. It seems lucid to believe that He was speaking in very matter-of-fact terms, like day 1 I did this, day 2 I did this, day 3,
I don't see
day 4,
Him do
day 5,
anything that fast.
Yeah. Well, God?
I don't see Him do anything.
What do you mean?
Nothing in this universe does He do overnight. I don't see that. You see that? I don't see that. Everything in this world is God.
I mean, the earth
from
sits on an axis.
I mean, everything. Nothing.
So you don't think? I mean, I don't know.
Nothing He's done happens overnight. So why would He rush that?
Well, He did.
When He made the greatest invention of His life, He did it overnight. But now we'll just let it kind of creep up.
I mean, I don't.
It doesn't make sense to me, right? I mean, I'm just,
I don't know. You take that up with him, but I'm just saying.
Because I mean, you're still thinking that Adam and Eve looked
1,000.
like us. Adam and Eve may have looked different.
Adam and Eve looked like God. They were made in the image of God, which is you and I made in the image of God.
They may have looked different than us. Similar, but different. You know what I mean? Like maybe they look like the cavemans we see. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
It's a thought.
I've never really given
you don't know.
thought.
Nobody knows.
No, this is true. And I say this all the time when I have conversations with people like, I don't know. And I'm just giving you what I read. I'm just telling you what I read, man. I just happen to be, and my personal experience with
because
the Lord.
because it's like you said, we evolve. You said it earlier in this conversation.
Evolution is not, the evolution of your life is not the antagonist of God. You're not at conflict with God when you say, I must evolve. I'm evolving.
Right.
We're evolving every day, either into something better or worse.
Sure.
You know, like, if, you know.
I'm curious. I don't know. I mean, it's a fair question.
What I do know is that there were days, they were assigned to me, and that's how I translate the world. That's how I translate my very existence today. It's the best explanation I could find, and I searched for them, man. I looked hard. You know, and it makes sense to me that for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever should believe in Him would not perish but have everlasting life. Yeah. So makes sense to me. I put my trust there.
All right. So we don't know was the answer. It may have not been seven actual days.
7 days.
It may have not been seven actual days.
It's 7 days. Okay, let's say this: 7 days or 7,000.
Okay, fair enough. It's in that range. I can agree with that.
Yeah,
I can agree with that. But even that,
if it's 7,000, then you have to multiply everything moving from then to day as 7 times 7,000.
It makes more sense.
I'm saying the world is 6,000. I believe it's 6,000 years old based on.
Do you think God made another world at one time? This is how sick my mind works.
I don't think it's sick. I think that's a great question.
He made another world at some times, and like, these assholes aren't working, and just got rid of them, wiped them out. And then he's like, I'm going to try this one over here.
I mean, he is coming back, and when he comes back, and that's where a lot of people got it all mixed up, because they'll weaponize the grace and the love of God and say, no, God loves me. No, God has offered an invitation. Jesus came His first time to open the door to the ark, for all of mankind to get in. Get in now. Because when He comes back His second time, it's not going to be pleasant. And this is where you can get into theological debates about the reality of the rapture, and the people that are in Christ will be taken away from the earth, is what the Bible describes as. There'll be two men, and one will be taken away. It's very, very, very vivid explanation. They'll be taken away. And then after they're taken away, the judgment of God. Just like the judgment of God followed the Noah when he got in the ark, then judgment came to the earth. So likewise, He said, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be when the Son of Man returns. The ark was the salvation of Noah and his family. The ark of Christ is the salvation of all mankind. But when He comes back a second time, and He asked His disciples asked Him, what will it be like? He said, well, there'll be wars, famines, tornadoes, earthquakes, hurricanes. There'll be massive deception in the earth. That's the first thing He said to them. That's His first thing He says to them. There'll be deception. People will come in, and there will be ravenous wolves in the church that day. Not to the unsaved, but to the saved. They'll be deceived. And then He said, that's what it'll be like when I come back. But when He comes back, He said the door will be closed. And there'll be many on the outside that will be pounding on the door to get in. And He'll say, I never knew you. I gave you an opportunity to come in. His first visit was salvation. His second visit will be judgment. And that's when I'm like, get in the ark now. Anybody listen to my voice? Hey, give your life to Jesus. Just give your life to Jesus. Get your family in the ark. You can't take your cars to heaven. You can't take your money to heaven. You can't, listen, just get in the ark, man. And here's the good part. You don't even need, you don't have to get right to get in. You just have to trust Jesus to get in. That's it. You don't have to get free from drugs to get in. You don't have to quit pornography to get in. You don't have to quit violence, murder, stealing, cheating. You don't have to do any of that to get into Christ. And this is where it's deceptive. People believe I got to clean my life up, then I'm going to get right with God. No. You get right with God. He'll take care of you. He'll help you get rid of all of the other stuff. He'll help you get rid of the darkness. He's helped me get rid of it. He can help you. Just get in the ark.
What about Catholics and confession? How do you feel about that?
It's false
I'm
religion.
just curious.
False religion.
I'm just curious.
What about confession? What
I
about
don't know, like the whole confession thing. I don't know.
It's faith. It's faith. It's faith. And none of us, like I said earlier, none of us have a perfect revelation of Jesus, right? So, but only Christ knows those who come to Him. Because I cried out on Fifth Street one night, and I just, God, if you're real, and then He began to show me things. So I didn't know who He was. I didn't know anything.
That's
I just
fine. I get that, but the priest thing, I went like the priest knows everybody's dirty secrets.
No, that's
like, does that? I mean,
He is the high priest. There should be no middleman between you and God. Period. You have a Bible. Read it. Learn better.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious. I mean, I know they go there.
Catholicism is a form of control.
I just wondered where does it even come from? Like, where did they come up with the idea
papacy.
of it?
Yeah,
I don't know. I never went to a Catholic church. I never did. Did you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I never went to one.
Because a girl. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And she wanted to go to her family.
I think I went to midnight mass once.
Yeah, I went to a few of them.
I think just once.
But I prayed real prayers in those things, in those Catholic churches, and I believe there are absolutely 100% Catholics that trust Jesus and believe in Jesus, and they're just practicing false religion, but they know Jesus.
That doesn't close their door.
No. Nobody can close the door but Him.
Right.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, I can't tell you don't know Jesus. I can't tell you when you're saved. I can't tell you when you're not saved. I can't tell you if you're going to heaven. I can't tell you if you're going to hell. I can only tell you if you put your trust in Jesus, you'll know. You'll be all right. Yeah, you'll be all right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wondered. I always wondered where it came from. It's weird.
It came from the Old Testament. Confession. It's the priests of the Old Testament. They would come to they just took a form of what was there, and they kind of, just manipulated it so they could have power. Man, the Catholic Church over in there in Israel, and they got it all locked up, dude.
There's a Catholic Church in Israel?
The Catholic Church has sites labeled in Israel as if they are the legitimate sites of, like, let's say, the crucifixion of Jesus.
But they don't even know.
The Church of the Holy Sepulchre, like there in Israel, that all the Catholics go there, and they go there as if that's the place where Jesus died. But it can't be. It can't be. If you read the scriptures, it can't be. It was outside of the walls of Jerusalem where Jesus died. So it has to be the tomb, the garden tomb is where He died. And then so there are all these different sites that they have, like, capitalized on, but they planted themselves on these sites and made it seem as if these are legitimate sites. And if you just do a little bit of research.
The Catholic Church has done that for years. Like, they've been doing
across the world.
Yeah, they've been doing that for years and years. They've held on to that. Yes. That documentation is too far back for anybody to argue.
Yeah.
A lot closer to when it happened than we are. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So I can understand.
But if you know your Bible, you'll go there and you'll go, that can't be the place. So the church has monopolized this real estate in order to, like, say that they're kind of cornered the truth there.
That's good, though. It's okay if they did. It's okay if they go there, because you go there and you worship and believe that's what and that's okay. I mean, as long as there's a place to do it, you know what I'm saying?
But it should be the authentic. And so
it doesn't matter if it's authentic.
Oh, it does.
No.
I went there with a guy for many years. His name was Leor. And Leor said, look, there's 1s, 2s, and 3s on our tours. There's 1s, 2s, and 3s. And he said, 1s are 100%. This is the spot where Jesus was. This is where it all went down. 2s are, we're close. No, we're in the Valley of Elah. This is where David and Goliath fought. We don't know the exact rocks he picked up and thrown, but we are in the area. And then there are 3s. Absolutely not. And the Catholic Church has built itself on a lot of 3s. Can't be the place.
But that's okay.
But right, like you say, the story is still there. But
yeah, I mean, because He's everywhere. I mean, that's
that is
Jesus
to your
everywhere.
point. To your point of, like, who put these priests in place? Well, that was a form of control, just like I believe those spots were there. So these are just forms of control.
I think that most of the priests were put in place by Puff Daddy.
Here we go. and I think you're right. I think you're right. I think you might be right. I think they run in the same circles, some of that stuff.
How is that, like, how is that so strong? Like, that whole, did you see that whole thing with that Palazzo?
Mm-mm. What do you mean?
Is it Blasio? Am I saying it right? Blasio? I don't know. One of the like designer stuff. Blasio? Am I saying it wrong?
I don't know. I don't even know what go deeper. What are you talking about?
He's talking. They have the devil. Like everything is like Satan worship.
Oh,
is it Blasio? I'm saying it wrong? Am I? I don't know what it is called.
I don't know. Oh no, you're talking about.
I must be saying it wrong.
It'll come to me in a minute, but yeah, you're talking about the image of the horned animal with.
And they had like the kids like dressed up in crazy clothes, like with the Satan in the pictures, and like I mean this
goes back to our conversation, Jimmy, where people at the nature of man is fallen and very evil. And there
do you
is
believe those people are worshiping the devil? They're literally worshiping him?
I believe that, yes. I believe the evidence is there. And the only thing that keeps us from seeing that evidence is our incredible insecurities that if we acknowledge what's right in front of our face, it will disrupt this false facade of peace that we carry around in this world that is very nefarious and evil. And if you just look at some of the nature, some of the behavior and some of the things that are carried out in humanity, it's very scary to believe that we could actually, could you believe that for, I don't know how many years those girls were locked up in that house over there in Cleveland, that you and I probably went down past I-90, past that house, how many countless times.
Did you drive over to it?
Yes.
So close.
I've met some of the girls. They
so close.
So close to I-90, right? But we drove by there. But who would have believed that
every day,
that in the heart of a man, he would conceive abducting girls, locking them up in his basement, and conceiving children with them over years. But that is in the heart of man, and I think that is
not
what
in the heart of all men.
It's in the nature. It's in our fallen nature.
Because of good men,
he was found. Right. Yes.
So, I mean, It's not in all men.
You know that scripture that says the meek shall inherit the earth?
Mm-hmm.
You know what that means? I love Jordan Peterson. Have you ever read anything on Jordan Peterson?
No.
Oh, you got to read Jordan. You'll love Jordan Peterson. Google him tonight. Oh, I'm so glad that I just said that to you. Google Jordan Peterson tonight, and just, you're welcome. You're welcome, right? But he explains what it means. Like, and I've studied the Bible a lot, and he explained this is perfect. The meek shall inherit the earth, which to you and I, you read that on the surface, and it seems like, like the timid, those who want peace, who are always looking to provide. No.
Yeah, it's the bitches.
Yeah, you're right. The betas, the weak ones.
Yeah.
No. What it means is those who have a sword, but keep it in its sheath. Those are the ones that will inherit the earth. And he goes on to explain how really good men are dangerous men who have harnessed their evil and made it serve good.
You want to know what's weird? That's not how I thought of it ever in my whole life. What I thought was meek were the people who didn't stick up for what they were going to get, what they were supposed to have, or didn't fight. Right. That's the meek. And they were the ones that were going to be left on earth, and the rest were going to heaven. That's how I always heard it.
It's the opposite. It's
because I always thought that hell might be earth after
it's the wolves.
Rapture.
It's the wolves who surrendered themselves as lambs that shall inherit the earth. It's the very dangerous people of society that have taken their fallen nature and surrendered it to God and said, God, I'll give it to you because I want it. I want to murder, but vengeance is yours. He said, those are the ones that will inherit the earth.
Yeah, I always seen it different. That's weird. I always thought inheriting the earth wasn't the good thing. I always thought that was hell.
To inherit the earth, man.
You want to inherit heaven, don't you? Or, I don't know.
Well,
that's what that's how I seen it. I guess I'm seeing it different.
That means the redeemed earth. The earth after, Christ.
How many times do you think God's done this?
I don't know. I've often wrestled with that. Like, that's maybe this is the gospel story for our 6,000 years. Maybe it is. He's God. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
what if he's got like a whole farm of us? Like, there's
I know. Maybe he's got like six galaxies going on at one time. Yeah.
Why wouldn't he?
But we're eternal spirits, so okay. So that's what
infinity,
opens the
that's
doors.
Where infinity
that's
comes
where
from.
it opens the door. But it's not as we understand it. It's
It's like,
but we
it's
shall
like
be
on-
like him.
What is that? Men in Black? Is that what it was? Where they show the marble?
A little thing, yeah.
That's wild. Like
It
that's a mind blowing thought, right?
It is.
But it could absolutely be true.
I'm definitely not smart enough to think that through. But I have wrestled with that idea of like, man, like, wow. Like,
it doesn't take away. It doesn't take away from
the story
the religion
of Christ, no.
of Earth here. But
No, I just think it's the part that we don't know. I don't know. I mean, there is some stuff there, like in the book of Revelation, where he will, he will come and he will throw time into a capsule of fire that
there's nothing.
does away with
There's nothing in the Bible that says he hasn't done it before. Nothing.
Have you read it?
You show me where it says he's never
You're
done this
asking me.
before.
I approach the scriptures pretty humbly, like, because anytime somebody's,
I mean, he's speaking to
says-
us. That's not saying
I take
that.
it within its full context, and so I examine a text by the context of it, and so
What if 20 billion years ago somebody already invented cars and airplanes and all that, did all this stuff?
you've been snooping around?
Snooping around what?
There's a lot of evidence that, like, all of the old architecture, like from Europe, like all of the huge, grandiose architecture.
I'm not talking about on Earth.
Oh no, yeah, well,
I'm talking about on other
suggestions.
planets, other
Yeah, well,
galaxies.
there are some suggestions that actually we never built any of those things within our 6,000 years, that they were here.
Like the pyramids.
Yeah, something crazy like that. Which, like I said,
What
I
about
examine
pyramids?
everything
What
through
do you?
scripture.
How do you figure the pyramids got built?
I mean, a lot of ingenuity from their time. I think there's a lot of ingenuity, and man, we're going down a rabbit hole here, dude. And in those times, there were giants on the earth. That's what the scriptures say.
There were, and when they say giants,
Genesis
how big
6.
do you think they were?
Giant.
Like how big do you think?
Fallen angels in rebellion to God came down, saw the daughters of man, and went into them and had children that created, and the Bible calls them giants. It says that Goliath was, which means that was post-flood.
I get that, but was that big enough to carry those stones, you think?
Big enough to create levers and leverage.
Yeah, maybe. I
Yeah.
guess that's fair enough.
I mean, yeah.
Fair enough.
And there are many, like, research sites out there if you go down this rabbit hole.
But shouldn't we find those bones?
Well, there are people, those bones are in Area 51. That's what
All of
area.
them.
They say that is where.
It's the
like,
first time I've ever heard
anytime
that.
these, well, it's because, all right. It's say there is this theory that the governments of the world, the globalists of the world, are. I know. Right?
This is wild.
I know.
I've
it's crazy.
never heard such a thing.
This is the theory of Nephilim, where they have taken these fallen angels and they have captured them, these UFOs, these otherworldly beings, and they have captured them, and they are building a fortress. They're building a fortress in order to overthrow God. The governments have aligned themselves with this is a theory. The governments of the world have aligned themselves. These elitists, these globalists, are looking to overthrow and rebel against God.
I got to look into this.
Yeah, you got to.
This is wild. Who am I reading?
Trust
Hold on.
me.
Let me write it down.
Nephilim. You want to research Nephilim?
No. That you said that the writer.
Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson.
Now that's a whole.
Who is
the
he?
12 Rules for Life. He was a professor out of Canada, but he's on tour in America.
I'm not Canadian.
No. He's. I'm telling you, you're gonna love this dude. Me either. Me either. Yeah, and neither is he.
Okay.
He is an absolute, like, he's a powerhouse, man. I love his thoughts. I love the way he thinks. It liberated me to read some of his stuff.
This was
because
fun
a lot
talk
of the
today.
stuff
I've
I
had
argued.
fun today. This was fun for sure.
It was deep.
It was deep. It was way deeper than I wanted to go.
I didn't know we were going here.
I didn't either, dude. I felt like I was on a Star Trek level. Like, do you remember that episode of Star Trek where they found the gods? Do you remember that?
I do not know.
It was the.
I know it was a
a really
Trekkie. I didn't
cool
like Trek.
concept.
Yeah.
Because they got to a planet and the planet had all the Greek gods there. And the
Greek-
concept was
Greek gods are Nephilim.
that the concept was that they wanted us to bow down when we got there, and they're like we've outgrown you now, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
But that was the and they were giants. You're right about that too. Yeah. So that might be the same story
Genesis
that you're
6.
talking about.
Genesis
That might be
6.
the same story, but basically we arrived there, on the Enterprise and got there and
Maybe they were selling us
discovered
something.
them.
The author of Terminator, and what was the other one? Matrix. That author, who like the producer, whatever they call that person that told the stories, originated stories. He or she was telling. I can't remember if it was a woman or a man, but was telling the story of Christ, which is hard to not see now that you see it. You go back and watch the Terminator.
Yeah.
You can see that. You can see all the characters.
Yeah.
And you can go back and watch the Matrix. You see all Matrix was pretty obvious because
That was
the
real
language
obvious,
they used.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I said that, but yeah, good talk today. Good talk.
Yeah, I liked it today.
Good talk, Jim.
I did like it today. You need to read Chaos though.
I'm gonna read. It's
gonna blow your hair back.
I got a basket full at home of books that people give me, and I was like, I can't get through them.
That one's gonna blow your hair back. It
Yeah.
blew mine.
Your airbag? Blew
My hair back.
Oh,
Blew
your
it
hair
back.
back. I thought
It blew my hair
blew
back.
my airbag.
I was sitting there going, "What in the world?"
I gotta
the connection
Move that
is
to the top.
unreal. It's unreal. All the different connections.
Yeah.
Of the '60s and the crazy.
Oh, yeah,
that
you're
went
gonna make-
on
okay,
and
I will.
Manson
Yeah,
and all
I
that.
gotta-
It's wild.
I'm gonna go read it.
Yeah, it's definitely wild. All right, we had
Take it
fun.
easy.
This was
Take it
great.
Y'all be
And that
good.
was Tucker and Thompson, and that'll be labeled as we go today. Everybody will see us. It's Tucker and Thompson. I
Tucker
don't know
and
if you see it, but it's there.
TNT.
You like that? TNT?
That's dynamite.
That was Guido.
You should do your-
Guido goes, TNT, I like
You should
it.
do your intro music with the what's that? The AC/DC.
With TNT. That's
Yeah.
pretty good. But see, the problem is then when we do that, I worry about if we have any type of...
We cut off.
if they won't let it go on
Oh, yeah,
YouTube
yeah.
and stuff
And then-
because you don't have copyrights.
Yeah.
You probably have to pay to have that on there. And, we're just
Yeah.
a couple of poor people. So, all right, it was fun. Peace.
Bye, guys.